minutes are going to be really hard.
Watch the video.
That's right. Anyway, I'm not going to worry about that now. So this was a point that I wanted to make before. And it's this, I'm going to just draw it. All right, so the question is this. Question is this. I believe, and tell me if this is what you're saying, because initiation tends to happen at the beginning of the movement, right? Oh, sorry. Trying to forget my arm. Initiated by the shoulder, or is it written? My arm initiated by the shoulder, or I have another thing, supposing I say my arm goes. This is, I'm making my argument. Okay. All right, so I think, Ann, tell me if what I'm saying is wrong. O-I-G. Okay, we've got H, I, and J. All right, now we only have this, we are at 12:30. Do people agree to go 10 minutes more because the food's not ready? How's your energy? Okay, 10 minutes more, and then we will stop. Anne is saying maybe even smaller. Is that what you're saying it should be? Because
But you can't make it much smaller.
okay, because because what I did, it happened at the beginning of the movement. So the idea is that the initiation should be only drawn at the beginning of the indication.
That makes sense.
I would say, looking at this one, supposing I do a movement in which I say, I want to do this movement. My arm goes forward, now it goes side. And that movement is initiated in my shoulder. It's not that I say initiate forward and then I go side, but the intent is, think of this whole phrase, and the movement is initiated in my shoulder. So that the sign...
Lynn, Hiram is calling you.
So to me, in this case, Anne is saying we make the bow small because of its timing. And I'm saying that the bow refers to, this should be, that the bow refers to the movements that the phrase of the movement or movements that are modified or that are initiated by it. Do you see what it says?
I think they're two different movements. They are two very specifically different movements.
But if I say I'm thinking about this as one movement, right?
And then you'd write it as in J.
So that's right. That's right. But if I'm writing it as in J, because this is modifying
The whole movement.
then that makes an argument for doing this as opposed to this. Because if I put just this at the beginning of this, how do I know that without putting another phrasing bow? I'd have to add another phrasing bow. Go ahead.
So, well, I think when you do J
Okay.
and you really have the initiating overlapping to the sideward symbol, I think we need to see the performance. How would you do it?
I don't think you can.
I'm thinking this, and I'm thinking, all right,
Supposing
I'll do it this way,
Ah,
okay?
Now you've also ended up with shoulder inclusion, and one of the things of initiation is if something begins in my shoulder, it disappears.
But if I'm not gonna, I'm doing inclusion, all right, what I'm gonna try to do.
I think the other, forward and side is a better example.
See, I'm thinking, if I don't think, if I just put it to beginning with, then to me, the intent is very different if I go forward and then go side, as opposed to forward, side, do this movement, and I want you to initiate that whole phrase in the shoulder.
And now, perform it as though it's finished by the time your arm's forward. And again, please.
I slowed down as a way of doing it.
If you do J, you start off. Where did the arm start? Down here.
To the side.
Okay, starts here. When you do J, the forward symbol has to be led by the shoulder, and then you have to see a sideways leading.
But we're not leading.
Well,
We're initiating.
You're initiated.
Initiating is a very different idea.
Yes, but I don't see the arm to the side being initiated by the shoulder.
But I'm thinking of this whole
I don't
phrase.
see it. I don't see this. I don't see it.
It changes my intent, my feeling.
But
when
if
I
you're going to have intent, doesn't that mean that people have to be able to have the movement that looks the way it's supposed to look, which is very different?
I think I see a difference in her performance
Yeah.
when she has it only at the beginning and then this nothing.
Yes, yes.
And then when she has the idea that this is going to continue, that there's still a lot of life in
Yeah.
the shoulder.
If you just, there is a difference even without the initiation. If I say to you, I want you to do this movement. First, I want you to think of it as two separate movements. Go forward, now go side. Now I want you to think of it as doing one movement in which you pass forward and then go to side. There's a very different sensation about that. That's why we have what we call phrasing. We would put, how would we indicate that? With bar lines, with the phrasing bow, with numbers, with all different ways, right? So when I'm initiating, when I'm thinking this movement, but initiated in the shoulders, that's very different from me than saying, go forward, initiating it, now put your arm to the side. That this,
So I understand the theory.
so that, that again, I understand this. I understand that this as far as being a very strong argument, because we have a sense that it just happens at the beginning. But it does make it that you can't write that. That's my argument. Anyway. So,
Interesting.
and you see, I had a whole big thing. People, and sometimes these things come up because of discussions that happen in the LIMS community. And the concept of initiation and led by is very murky for a lot of people there. Not everybody. People who know notation, Lama notation, they understand. But because the community, by and large, doesn't have a strong notation background. So it becomes, but they're very different ideas, and it's very, very useful to have them both, to me. So even just getting through that led by and initiating are two different ideas. And there was a whole big discussion about it, online discussion today. So anyway, to be continued, right?
Yeah.
So we haven't settled this, but we know the issues. We know
And that's
some
the
of things.
beginning, to know the issues.
That's
Okay.
right, and to clarify that there's a difference between initiation and led by.
Mhm.
Do you, out of curiosity, do you use initiation in your writing? I know we use led by, but initiating,
Maybe once or twice, I don't.
where the movement initiates, that's a big, big idea in the limbs community, and at least, now big, where does the movement begin in your body? Where does it, I initiate my breath. Oh, just one other thing, because I was looking up in your move, trying to look what you said about in your move. So what was it that you did, that was so glorious, I thought? You said, I need another
That
paper.
was mine.
Okay, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. I messed up. See, that's why we did it here and not there. So, you did this, you said, you had this, a discussion about this, but then you had this, which I thought was, yes. What about there's movement in which you can visible initiation? Right?
The second bow, the first
Visible, and initiation, like, I sense it. I have a sense that it's in my, that it's here, but you don't really see it, it's just
But the bow would start solid and then become dotted.
show.
It does, in that, this is solid.
No, that could continue a bit longer to give you the timing of how long that lasted. Just make the beginning of the bow a little bit longer. The beginning of the bow a bit solid, make it solid, and then end with the dotted.
Like this. How long would you like it?
Oh, that's an idea.
And then it
Which
just
is what I was
peters
saying about
out.
the swing, the second
In
part.
other words, that you could make if you wanted to do J, you'd do that?
No.
Anyway, that's fine.
Do another one, yeah.
Yeah. Like that. So this is not part of the emphasis.
Right.
That symbol just tells you how long the emphasis lasts.
Nice,
Can-
like this. Just
And
like
where
that.
would you
No.
put,
What's different?
Well, is this part of the triangle or is it separate? Oh, it looked like it.
Can I?
So the dotted line part.
Can you show
would be-
the
Want
camera?
it actually to be like,
Yeah, the same as
like
the same as
this?
the swing. The second part of the swing.
did you want this, Ray, then? This I see is different. Like that? Where it's not part of it?
Yeah.
Oh, a break.
Yeah. Oh no, it can connect. to it.
Can you show it to
Connect
camera?
Connect
So
it.
we're gonna
See what you
show
just
this-
did?
Connected. It's connected. The same as it's being all the
Oh,
way along.
okay.
It's just that the second part of the bow is
No, hold on.
dotted past it.
you're talking about this one, Ray?
Yeah.
What's the difference?
Well, because first of all, it looked like the emphasis bow had been drawn longer. That's what it looked like.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not what I meant. You draw the emphasis bow. The triangle at the beginning, you draw it the regular size,
Right.
but the beginning of the line is solid.
Solid, and then it
And
starts
then
to get dotted.
Yeah.
Although, then we're giving this a different meaning than what I understood Anne to say when she did this, was to say the difference between this and this is, in this one, I really see that the movement
Is
begin here, initiated, whereas here, I might, see, I felt my breath. That's what
But
they do
it's
at
not
Lynn, but
something
it's not something that if you were notating, unless the choreographer said, listen,
I want you to.
I want you to feel, to breathe in, and then not that breathing in is what begins the movement. So it's not visible. Is that what I'm understanding you meant, kind of an invisible initiation?
Well, let me bring in here Sigurd Leder's idea of point of interest.
Well,
And this is something that I was trying to find the symbol for. He would explain to the student there's a shaft of light, the sunshine, coming through a small hole, and it is landing on your left elbow. And then from there, things happen.
That's
It's,
beautiful.
yes, it's almost as though it energizes, suddenly that part of the body has more tension or more life,
Mhm.
and then whatever follows. So there's a little bit of a relationship between that and what you were saying.
Initiation, but it's not something
It's
that
not
you
initiated
visibly.
inside either, it's from external.
Yes,
There's something that makes this happen, and you're, as a mover, very aware of it, and certainly that awareness might affect how the movement is done. But a person looking at you wouldn't necessarily, it wouldn't zonk them, oh, it's initiating in the elbow. So
Or
that's thereby.
Well, I think they would see it.
They would see it initiating, but they wouldn't know that it's a light that
Yeah.
is the concept.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's the way he explained it.
Right.
So it's a point of interest.
Mm.
So what makes it a point of interest, whether it's a shaft of light or
Whatever.
a bee landing?
Oh, goodness. Anyway, so we'll leave it with a shaft of
Wow.
light and a bee landing on your elbow.
This has been a very interesting session.
Great.
I think
Enlightening
well
even.
well worthwhile.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
Good.
thank you so much, and thank you, Anne. Thank you.
I'm so glad that you were able to arrange this,
Yeah.
bring people together.
Yes, and I will try to, it will take me quite a bit of time, just for various reasons, but eventually it will definitely be online, this, for people to look at, so that
Yes.
it can be shared to the people.
Yes, all over the world.
I want to be sure to get a picture of us all. How are we going to do?